What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining me. Your host, Jay Duma, as always, bringing you episode 44 of Let's Nerd with Pathfinder Kingmaker, and nerd we shall. So, the last episode we fought some cultists. Now we have to chase one into the brush here. And before I do that, I was just noticing that Amiri could use the Belt of Giant Strength. Oh, now she's doing much better in that regard. So +2 to strength and constitution. Give that to Harem. And then everyone else is good to go. So I also gave Valerie the Chilly Midnight, so she has slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning if necessary. Excuse me. Alright, so I guess we have to exit out this way to chase. Haha. The triumph over the wicked Lamashtu cultists proved incomplete. Some villain or villainess had slipped away under the cover of darkness into a narrow gorge among the rocks. Without a second thought, our brave Baron, loyal Keston, and their comrades in arms rushed after the fleeing figure. The figure, clad in black, was barely visible in the dark. The villain had gotten far ahead of us. At the last moment, the Baron noticed their prey had turned aside and disappeared behind the rocks. Alright, so after they decided to take a shortcut to catch the cultists by surprise, the party started climbing up the stone ridge. Succeeded. Climbing in the darkness was a difficult task. It's not a joke when you try to catch a stable rock and hear the small stones crumble under your feet. Several times it seems our heroes were out of luck, but their stubbornness and the thought of the runaway cultists gloating about eluding them gave them strength. Moments later, we were at the top. So our heroes found themselves at the top and just in time. The cultist, barely visible in the darkness, was threading his way through the gorge directly beneath them. It seemed the cultist was so focused on finding his footing he didn't notice his pursuers perched above him, giving the Baron a chance to strike. What will our heroes do next? Send the swiftest and most agile ahead down the unstable slope in hopes of cutting the runaway off. Perception check too. The strength is an intimidate check. So let's send serious. Failed the strength check, but succeeded at intimidate. The boulders rumbling down the slope, the column of dust, and the triumphant cries from above. That would be enough for Lamashtu herself to turn tail. The cultist wasn't any better. He lost his footing, and his escape turned into an awkward tumble, causing him to trip and stumble amongst the rocks. Darkness failed to cover the peculiar way the runaway walked. The robed figure was limping badly, dragging their right leg. Despite that, the cultist vanished in the darkness without a trace. The party followed to the edge of the plateau where the flatlands began. As our brave heroes reached the edge of the plateau, the vastness of the Canelands opened before them, an ocean of high grass as far as the eye could see. A beautiful sight, but finding our quarry in this green sea, it would prove impossible. With our heads down and hopes lost, we descended to where a small streamlet flowed amongst the stones. And then there before us, good fortune. In this haste, our villain had run through the high grass, leaving a trail for all to see. The party immediately set off, driven by a single desire to capture the criminal who dared to escape the punishment of the Baron and had led us on this unwelcome chase. We moved as swiftly as we could, but even the ground seemed to fight us. Rock gave way to mud which grew deeper as we marched on and seemed to grab at our boots. Even the wind began to rise, lashing at our cloaks, and a foul scent filled the air, sure signs we were heading toward the Gnarl Marches. Soaking wet and exhausted, our heroes came upon a cabin at the edge of the swamp. According to Keston, it was a hunter's lodge owned by Dumra, a hunter who lived there alone and was known for her great temper and little patience. It also looked as if it might be a place where the cultists would seek shelter. It was unlikely the runaway would brave the depths of the gnarled marshes in the middle of the night. So the Baron pushed open the door and stepped inside, letting a touch of the cool night air in. Keston. The lodge is lit with only a few candles on the tables and the counter. Shadows lie thick around the room. A number of people are here. A well-dressed couple at one of the tables, a girl in a simple dress dozes near the opposite wall, and at the counter is an untidy dwarf. She's wiping the mugs and glaring at you. From the half-open kitchen door, you hear the clanging of pans upon metal, presumably a stove. Keston looks around with a heavy gaze. Things have gone from bad to worse. We must find the cultists before they flee, and we have no idea what they look like. The people in the lodge look surprised and concerned. Each seems to recognize you and ask themselves, what is the ruler of these lands doing here at such a late hour, flanked by armed guards? Keston's hand falls to his weapon. Your Grace, I'm ready to make an arrest, but if you wish to investigate further before making a decision, I'll make sure no one leaves the lodge until you give the order. I'd like to look around and speak with these people. Maybe I'll find something. As you command, Your Grace. No one will leave this house. I'll make sure of that. Keston looks around the hall once again. My advice, take their room keys. Their personal belongings speak their owner's intent, often more than their masters would like. We all leveled up.
I shall not fail.
Alright, since I'm going to do the inquiry, I'm going to cast Heroism on myself. Let's see who's here. Olika. Let's start with her. A young woman stands before you wearing a plain dress and a hooded cloak. Her belly is swollen. She is pregnant and her time is near. Your Grace, it's an honor. The woman bows and stares at you with shining eyes. I thought I'd never be able to thank you in person for your kindness, but gods were kind to me. You must have forgotten already, but it was you who discovered my husband's body. Wayne's partner, a merchant who was killed by bandits not far from the house of Bartholomew the Wizard. A traitor died on one of his trips. You found a brooch and a letter on his body and had it sent to me. She touches a turquoise brooch pinned to her dress. The brooch is familiar to you. You made it possible that the last gift from my husband had found its way home. There's not enough words in the world for how grateful I am. What are you doing here? I'm taking what rest I can after a long day on the road, Your Grace. I'm a widow. Olika stopped short. I've barely had 2 seasons to mourn my husband, and he left me with child. And in difficult times like these, I've got a sister in Gralton. Gods bless her, she's agreed to give me shelter in her house. So I went there. There was nowhere else to go. A memory of Olika's letter emerges from the depths of your mind. She mentioned her son in that letter, but now there is no child by her mother. It's odd that Olika, who's been planning to stay at Gralton, didn't bring her son with her. Huh. Where are you from? From Galt, Your Grace. I'm from a tiny village near the tract. Guess no one here ever heard about this place. You recall the location of Galt and Gralton. As far as you know, stolen lands lay aside from the places Olika has named. Are you planning to stay in Gralton? Olika hesitates. I don't know yet, she answers, but if things turn out well, why not? It was a long journey for you. Olika shrugs. I've little coin, Your Grace, so I have to beg traders on the road to ride in their carts. I spend nights anywhere I have to. This place is at least warm and dry. Let's talk about something else. Looking for a cultist of a dark goddess. Can you help me? Cultist? That's horrible, but how can I help you? Have you seen anything suspicious tonight? Olika shakes her head slowly. No, I don't think so. Do you know anyone in this hall? First time I've seen these people was when I'd stepped over the threshold of this lodge. Do you know who came to the lodge last? Olika frowns. I heard a noise from the kitchen. It was like something fell on the floor. Then this grumpy old lady Dummer came out. Let's talk about something else. Olika gives several hasty nods. Seems the talk of cultists has frightened her. I need the key to your room. Alika hesitates, then takes a key out from her cloak and hands it to you without a word. I should go. Dumra. Dumra looks at you without a word. How many people are there in the lodge now except for you? Watch yourself. There are 3 of them, all sitting over there. Dumra nods towards her guest. That one in the kitchen, guessing she's the servant to these 2 noble folk. They look to be carrying all the coin. I'm looking for someone. Can you help me? Dumra gives you a sullen glance. It seems she's not too happy to talk with you, but she doesn't dare refuse it openly. Do you know who you guessed are? Why should I? Dumra tilts her head, her eyes appraising you. I'm not their ward. They come, they pay for a bed, they keep quiet. Why would I care who they are? Do you remember when they came to your lodge, at least? Dumra closes her eyes, trying to recall. I went to check on my traps. Some people arrived when I was away, so I can't tell you for sure, Your Grace. Do you let everyone into your house? Dumra's face turns red. What are you hitting at, huh? Your guest, Dumra. Do you allow anyone who asks to spend a night here? Dumra blinks several times, pondering the words. Of course, everyone. What else am I expected I do? Pick who gets a warm spot near the fireplace and who gets left out in the rain? I've let in you and your thugs, though you've put a terror in my other guests. Excuse me, who are you calling a thug? Dumra eyes Octavia and falls silent, then shrugs. You're a fair lass, sure, but who knows what thoughts you have in that pretty head of yours. A crime has happened, Dumra. I need your help to find the culprit. So what did this culprit do wrong? Dumra's voice becomes thick, corners of her mouth curved down. Shot a deer in someone's lands, and now the criminal has to run away as if she was an animal herself? Whatever it is, leave me out of it. A cultist of Lamashtu is hiding in your lodge. I have to find them. Dumra stares at you for a moment, then utters a hoarse chuckle. One of Lamashtu's own. That's quite a story you've spun, Your Grace. Next you'll tell me I'm holding Rovagug down in the cellar? And what's your proof that I hide cultists? There are footprints leading to your lodge. So what? Folk come to this lodge every day, both from the flatlands and the swamps. Your lodge is the only house in the neighborhood. And, she lifts her chin, is it a bad thing to provide shelter for those who's lost? Several hours' walk from your lodge is the Shrine of Lamashtu. Barren enough, the dwarf clasped her hands. Here in the Stolen Lands you can't swing a dead cat without hitting some goblin's nest or cursed ruins, or a shrine of something foul. I'm not going to argue with you. Dumra crosses her arms and lifts her chin. Let's go back to my other questions. What else haven't I told you? I'd like to examine your room, Dumra. Dumra hands tighten to fist, but she keeps them on her hip. She says nothing, merely staring at you defiantly. Listen, the sooner I cross you out of the suspect list, the sooner I'll leave you alone. Do me a favor and give me your room key, and this will be over before you know it. Dumra is silent for a moment, then nods and pulls an old, age-darkened key from her belt. Your way, then. Her eyes narrow. But have a care. No digging through my undergarments, or I'll have your hands on hooks, you hear? I have to go. Mentioned someone in the kitchen. The stove? Something is burning in the stove. It was thrown in the fire not long ago. Tasana? The kitchen servant is busy grinding herbs within a mortar. She's wearing a dress soiled with dark stains, and her hair is knotted in a bun with a few stray hairs poking free. Succeeded at stealth check. The woman doesn't appear to notice you as she makes her way to the stove. You notice she's limping badly on her right leg. Before you can speak, she turns, sees you, and freezes. Who are you? Name's Tasana. I cook for the Tendrums, noble of from Restov. She wipes her hands with an apron. What will it be? What can you tell me about your masters? Tasana frowns. No quicker road to trouble. Talking about masters, that is. She glances at your clothes and sighs. How would you like it if your servants were all a gossip about you? They pay regular, not stingy with their coin. They don't yell much, so I count myself fortunate, I do. Why are they here, you think? None of my business. Might be they have things to do, but I wouldn't know. I mend, I cook, and I serve where needed. Alright, that's enough about the Tedrons. Tasana doesn't react. What are you cooking, Tasana? She throws a glance at the stove. That there's for tomorrow. She hesitates. Tomorrow's midday meal it is. Peek into the stew pot. You take the lid off the pan. Some brew boils inside. It looks strange and smells odd. You lean over, smell the stew, and immediately flinch. The acrid stink of vinegar feels like a punch in the face. Besides, you can smell some strange spice which would be appropriate in a dessert, but not in a first course for our dinner. Alright, I won't trouble you any longer. We're looking for a criminal who may have fled this way. Have you seen anyone suspicious? What can be seen here, you say? Tasana snorts. Ask Dumra. She runs the house, she does. Has anyone come into the kitchen recently? Only Dumra came. She frowns, no doubt checking to see if I'm not palming the silver, as if there's anything worth stealing here. So there's not. The hostess of this lodge doesn't mind you cooking at her kitchen? As if she came here often herself, she throws up her hands. Filth piled in corners, the floor sandaled deep in dirt. Had to work my fingers to bones to clean the kitchen before I could start a proper meal in this. She curls her lip. This cowshed. That's all I need. She waves her hand and turns back to tend the boiling stew at the stove. I need the key to your room. Room, she raises an eyebrow. I don't have a room except here in the kitchen. Bed's a bench. Still warm though. Still warm enough though. I have to go. She limps.
Completed.
The back door was used recently. Well, I should bring Jaethal along to spot anything unusual. Oh, Jaethal's not with us. I'm the perception dude. Alright, everyone back.
I'll go ahead. Let us bide our time.
Talk to Gavron Tedrum. A bearded, middle-aged man stands before you. He wears a massive gold chain on his neck. The woman beside him gives a polite smile and a nod as you approach. Greetings, Baron. The man's voice is so low as to rumble. Let me introduce myself. Gavron Tedrum from Restov. He nods to the woman beside him. And this is my wife, Una Tedrum. We've come to your lands to hunt. Yet I admit we did not expect to meet you in person. To what do we owe this honor? You recognize me at once. Do I know you? I doubt it, but news about developments within the Stolen Lands and your role in them has traveled far. Asirius is a well-known name beyond your borders. Gavron gives a polite half-bow. The woman in the kitchen, your cook? Gavron nods quickly. Yes, we just can't imagine our lives without Tasana. Una coughs delicately. My constitution demands a unique diet. She studies you closely. A private matter, if you don't mind. Far from Brevoy, are you not? You see, Gavron clears his throat. I've heard the wildlife here are excellent sport, so I decided to see for myself. Sort truth from rumor, you understand. Fortunately, my fair wife was in favor of the trip, so here we are. Do you prefer snares or a bow? A bow. What kind of prey do you hunt? Gavron freezes. He swallows. Cougars. He swallows again as if fighting to take a breath. Magnificent predators. Worthy prey. For a worthy hunter. He gives an awkward smile. Well, I hope you enjoy your hunting. Let's change the topic. An odd place to rest for the night. Why, Baron! Una gives a false smile. We adore this charming dwelling. She glances around the dim hall. Her smile remains, but you notice she raises an eyebrow at her surroundings, as if in judgment. Tell me about yourself, please. I'm a legalist, Baron. Gavron hooks his thumb into his embroidered belt. My job is to ensure Restov's laws are upheld. My wife is a keeper of the hearth and my loyal companion in prolonged journeys. Una nods without a single word, her gaze fixed on you. Oh yes, of course, Cabron Tedrum. I've heard about you and your famous legal cases. Cabron Tedrum freezes as if someone put a knife to his throat. Is that so? He tries to smile, but his ears are fearful. I doubt, Baron, that anything you heard concerned me. My family name is a common one. I have so many relatives, I know not a quarter of them. He clears his throat. So you are a judge? Cabron smiles slightly. Not exactly. I work as a legal defendant in cases when a suspect's innocence must be proven, and I admit I have moderate success in this field. Cabron seems to elaborate, then stops. No need to bother you with tedious tales from the courts. Una Tedrum raises her head. We decided a trip was in order. My husband worked long hours during the last several months, so we felt the journey would be good for us. Well, with a difficult job like yours, it's impossible to get by without some divine support. Whom do you address your prayers to? Why, to Abadar, of course, divine patron of law and lawyers. Cabron looks at you intently. Surely you are aware of Abadar, are you not? You must be. No matter, no matter. Let's go back to other questions. As you wish, your grace. A crime has taken place nearby. The one responsible may be hiding in this house. Have you seen anything suspicious? The Tedrums exchange glances. I'm afraid, your grace. Cabron looks downcast. We won't be able to help you. Have you seen anyone suspicious? Cabron looks around the hall. We are not accustomed to such company, Baron. Besides, from the Restov legalist point of view, every person in this room is suspicious. Do you know the hostess of this lodge? No, I don't. Cabron rubs his bow, and I must say, she doesn't look forward to meeting new people either. Do you recall who came to this lodge in the last hour or so? Cabron casts a look behind you. On second thought, this young woman. I didn't notice exactly when she entered the room. He turns to his wife. My dear, perhaps you recall. What was the name our hostess used addressing her? Olika, sweetheart. Una shrugs faintly. I cannot recall if I saw her at the start of the evening. Let's go back to other questions. I need a key to your room. Despite Una's cool expression, you notice a bead of sweat running down her temple. As she spots your glance, her lips tighten. Cabron takes a key from his purse and hands it to you. As you wish, Baron. I'll come back to you later. Una? Alright, so let's head upstairs and check out some of this stuff. Key needed.
Our duty calls.
Alright, this is the Tedrum's room. Tedrum's chest.
The road awaits. Done.
There are no hunting bows, arrows, snares, no any other sign of the Tedrums having any hunting on their mind. The sheets are crumpled, the blanket is thrown aside. It seems someone was sleeping in this bed not long ago. The bag contains Tedrum's clothes and personal belongings. Alright, I think this is Dumra's room. A pile of dirty clothes covers some snares. There are quite a few hunting bows and quivers with arrows. She's got that shopping list. She seems harmless enough. Sheets on this bed look dirty. The old bed cover is sewed together from a number of patches. Receipts, shopping lists, and other people's papers pile over Dumra's table.
The path is clear.
The chest contains modest clothing, some packed leftover food, a purse with herbs, and other personal belongings. The table holds a pile of letters crossed with a ribbon. There are letters from Olika's deceased husband. It seems they corresponded often.
Done.
The mattress covers blood-stained cloth and bandages. That's Olika. This is nobody's room. Sure, Interesting.
Everyone counts on me.
Cabron, I found no bows or hunting equipment. I've been to your room. I found no hunting weapons there. Cabron becomes white as a sheet. You see, well... He licks his lips, which are now trembling slightly. Una, who was watching her husband closely, touches his shoulder slightly. I beg your pardon, Baron. She leans into Cabron and whispers something in his ear. Succeeded at perception check. You barely hear Una's hiss. Get a hold of yourself, you fool. You'll ruin everything. These words seem to have the desired effect. Cabron suddenly straightens and smiles. Truth be told, it's a rather embarrassing matter. Cabron gives a hollow chuckle. I proved a much worse hunter than I thought. Just imagine. I managed to snap not one, not two, but 3 bowstrings in a day. Infuriated, I broke my bow across my knee. Shames me to even speak of it. Una gently smiles and looks aside.
Tread lightly.
You see this couple at the table? They are nobles from Restov. They claim you're the last one to come to the hall. Olika gives you a perplexed look. But that's not true. It's not. Her voice trembles. Doomer, the hostess. She was the last one. I remember her coming through the kitchen. Olika, why is there blood-stained undergarments in your room? Where is that from? Olika takes a step back, her eyes wide with fear. I'll explain. The woman lowers her head and rests her hands against her belly. I'm expecting a baby, but because of the journey, of all the worries, something must have gone wrong. It hurts. Olika closes her eyes tightly. And I bleed. Olika starts sobbing. I tried to find out what's wrong, to heal myself, to appease the gods. The priest of Pharasma told me he couldn't help. The goddess rejected my child, said it would be born dead. But I can't just accept it. I can't give up. This child, my husband's child, all I have left of him. Olika hides her face behind her hands and starts to weep. You realize you'll get nothing more from her at the moment. People say you came to the hall last. Dummer looks at you closely for a moment, then grunts. Right, she speaks slowly as if keeping her temper. I went out to the kitchen when this clumsy gal had knocked over some of my pots. What of it? So she bleeds from a child, but that girl back there is limping. They're all suspicious. Keston's brows is furrowed. He looks at you awaiting orders. Who would you interrogate first? Keston shoots a glance at the dwarf at the counter. The hostess has been staring, hated us since we entered. Mind her. Someone who seemed especially suspicious to me. Just call the name and I will interrogate the person. Cabron Tantrum, a lawyer from Restov. The only man in the lodge, Keston ponders. Alright, let's figure it out. I'll bring him to you at once. So, Cabron, the time has come for us to have a heart-to-heart. Why are you here? Cabron trembles, his voice quavering, his face pale. Well, what are you talking about? Let's cut to the chase, Master Tedrum. You don't want to keep our Baron waiting, do you? Fine, Cabron almost shouts now. I confess. I didn't come here to hunt. But it's not my fault. It's because of her. Because of my wife. What about your wife? Keston's eyes narrow. The truth now, all of it. I've lost too much time to you and your cult already. I'm not a cultist. Cabron's eyes well up. It's Una. She told me the priestess of Lamashtu could help us. She brought me here to this godforsaken hole. She threatened that if I didn't go, she'd end our marriage. And she's a great niece of Garnet Orlovsky. The shame would destroy me. House Orlovsky controls northeastern Bravoy from Eagle's Watch on Mount Veshka. They try to rise above petty political maneuvers. As staunch allies of the now disappeared House Regarvia, this has landed them in a prickly situation. If Lord Paul Orlovsky chooses to rebel against Nalesky Sertova, they could potentially align with House Gares and House Medived. These three houses could disrupt supply and travel routes between House Sertova's two power bases, Port Ice and New Stettin. The house's motto is high above. Keston looks at you. I guess we've made a mistake, he whispers. This squab is guilty only of a lack of spine, but then who is? Keston is interrupted by a loud noise from the kitchen. What was that? His hand falls to his weapon. This prattle bores me. Death to the intruders! Figured it was her.
I'm not afraid.
Stop! Stop! I surrender! I surrender! The priestess of Lamashtu holds her hand over her bleeding wounds, moaning in pain. She raises the hem of her skirt and starts to wipe away the blood from her legs. Her right leg is covered with sores, oozing pus, and yellow ichor. You and your minions unleashed a blight across my lands. Because of you, monsters overrun the barony, and honest people fear to leave their homes. The priestess of Lamashtu shakes her head and tries to close her wounds, moaning. That's nonsense. I've heard the stories about what's happening in your barony, Aasimar, but I have nothing to do with this. The Great Mother rules the monsters of this world, but if you had truly earned her wrath, your lands would be drowning in blood. No, Baron, you must look elsewhere to place blame. Lamashtu and her followers have nothing to do with your troubles. Tell me who you are, quick now. I am the priestess of the Cult Lamashtu, the Great Mother, the ancestress of monsters. The priestess struggles to raise her chin, her voice a hiss. I'm not from these lands. I came because of the pleas of your people who seek the mercy of my goddess. I came to these lands in secret and hid my identity from everyone except those initiated in the mysteries of Great Mother. Even the hostess of this lodge had no idea who I was, and those looking for divine benefaction found me on their own. And there are more than followers of Erastil would believe. Tell me about the Cult of Lamashtu. We are numerous and strong. The tribe of Lamashtu followers grow every day, breeds and spreads over the lands of Galarian in search for places to create new packs. What kind of rituals were you performing at the shrine? We prayed to Lamashtu. We asked for new offsprings in the pack. We mated like wild animals, free of stupid prejudices. The priestess's lips curve in a grin. I'll spare you the details, Aasimar. Those like you are unable to accept the greatness of our ancient faith. Aren't you a merry bunch? Octavia giggles, waving her finger tauntingly at the priestess. But you know, Callistria's faithful have a lot of fun too, just without the risk of growing a pair of tentacles in the process. Don't you dare compare your frivolous goddess to ours, who's as old as the world itself. Your orgies are little more than entertainment for bored townsfolk. Ours are full of primordial wisdom. Valerie winces. Could we please skip the theological debate over which cult has better orgies? I'm not impressed by your attempts to wound my pride. The priestess says nothing, her eyes filled with contempt. Where are the rest of the Lamashtu cultists hiding? The woman's face turns to stone. You cannot make me betray the children of Great Mother. Torture me if you like. Lamashtu will grant me the strength to endure any pain you inflict upon me. Have you allied with goblins and other creatures in this area? No, we have the same mistress, but our paths to faith are different. Enough about that. I held no illusions you could grasp the wisdom of my goddess. All these people in the lodge, are they here because of you? The priestess shakes her head. They were searching for the blessing of Lamashtu. Other gods have denied them, and they had to ask the Mother of Monsters for her benefaction. The couple from Restov, did they come to meet you? Yes, several years ago the lawyer defended a necromancer in a court in his native city, and he won the trial. Since then, all Tedrum's attempts to conceive a child were doomed to fail. Pharasma didn't want to prolong the bloodline of a man who protected those who raised the dead. Una has more brains than her spineless mate, so she sought the support of Lamashtu. The child, of course, will bear the mark of goddess. But Tedrons don't have much choice. Pharasma's memory is long. What's the story of the merchant's widow? Olika, Olika, Olika. She's a poor girl clinging to an unborn life in her womb. The seed of her husband was too weak. Olika's child is doomed to perish before coming to this world. Is the lodge hostess involved in all of this? The priestess of Lamashtu looks at Doomer in disgust. This thoughtless thing? No, she did not see, was not smart enough to see what was transpiring under her nose. I won't offend the name of Lamashtu by calling our hostess one of her tribe. Enough. The priestess glares at you, hatred and contempt in her eyes. Keston, I have an order for you. Keston turns to you. Your Grace? Valerie folds her hand across her chest and looks at you with interest. The priestess's guilt is obvious to me, the others not so much. I'm torn between chaotic and lawful. I forgive all these people, even the priestess. Let them go. Keston looks at you as if you're mad. Let them go? All of them? But... He hesitates for a moment, then seems to remember his place and nods calmly. As you command, Your Grace. Valerie looks at you like you just grew horns. Then she rolls her eyes and silently turns away. Tasana blinks and sweeps her eyes over you as if noticing your presence. Well then, it seems I shall serve the Great Mother in these lands a little longer. If you wish to speak or ask for something, come to the Shrine of Lamashtu. That's where you'll find me. Keston throws a tired look over the lodge and rubs his chin. That's all. He looks around the lodge. We'll deal with these people as you've ordered. I suppose it'll be a relief to Doomer to get rid of such troubling guests. I thank you, Your Grace, for the help and for your wisdom. A pity we didn't discover the true reason behind the blight, but at least we have one less mystery on our hands. Have a safe journey, my Baron. Lived a long life, but this mess is something new. Thank you for sorting everything out, Baron. Olika says, my Baron, I just don't know how to thank you. Cabron says, we'll leave at once. Scouted the whole barony, visited goblins, dispersed the Cult of Lamashtu, and even participated in a real vivisection. Now it's time for everyone to meet and discuss what we've learned about the source of the disease. So who's the one with the... one with two fingers? Is it Doomer? Maybe I should have banished the priestess, but you know, I don't believe in their religion, but what are you gonna do? I don't understand who Verask wants me to kill. Let me quick save and then just try to kill Dummer. Let's see what happens. How do I do that anyway?
We should prepare.
What's the holdup?
Hit her with a snowball.
This spell's not supposed to work like that.
Oh, I can't attack her if I wanted, so that's not... Maybe it was that Priestess of Lamashtu, but I didn't want to kill her. If anything, I'll banish her. Maybe that just hasn't happened yet. Or it's a swamp witch's hut. Feels kind of strange letting them all go, but my reasoning is, you know, I don't believe their religion, but I'm not going to be able to stamp out every cult and religion in the barony. Locals are terrified. The lands have become a beacon for all varieties of monsters. There have been multiple owlbear and wyvern sightings in the area. Unrest in the streets. The people are gradually losing faith in their baron. Your associates anxiously await you in the castle, ready to discuss the current situation. I don't know about that yet. I don't know why that says there's new events there. There's no new events there. Even with Tristan in the group, there's no new events there. An avoidable random encounter on the road. Maybe it'll be the Mad Prophet again. Hello.
The road awaits.
So, Taya.
Group of travelers carrying bags, satchels, and sacks full of all manner of goods and chattels are shuffling their feet on the road in front of you. Two tougher-looking men are helping one of their companions stand. Pale youth who is shivering, his face covered in sweat. As you approach, the men turn to you and glare at you. Your Grace? Who are you? The man throws a glance at his small group. Name's Urkhead. These are my companions. We come from the village of Lurvik, and we're traveling to Galt in search of protection. Judging by your bags, you're not just traveling, you're on the run. You see a change in Urkhead's eyes, and he gives you a cold, even wicked look. And if it were so, Your Grace, it's more risk to stay in the barony than go in the wilds. 3 folks torn to pieces in our village, and even more were slain by the beast that came out. Galt has to be safer, they say, and I say we go see for ourselves. Die here in Galt, from disease or by the sword, a bit sooner or a bit later. Our earthly lives are filled with choices, but what change truly comes of them? This young fellow, what's wrong with him? Oh, Virgin, you mean? Must have eaten something. He was fine, see, then felt sick, fever and all. And in the morning he began to cough blood. Arasta willing, he'll make it to the border, where we'll find him a healer there. Succeeded at lore nature check. Virgin gives a few deep muffled coughs. The feverish glint in his bloodshot eyes, the glow in his cheeks, the distant look on his face. You've seen this before. This is what the unfortunate servant looked like moments before a monster erupted from her body. In his body. There's nothing you can do for Virgin. His signs are like the others afflicted. Any moment a monster might tear its way out of him. Keep your distance. Urkid pales and looks at the others. Listen up! His voice is hoarse. All back! Behind the Baron! I'm sorry, Virgin. I have to think of others as well. It's just a fever. Famous last words. Cursed lands, cursed barony. Urkid's hands are shaking. As he turns to face you, his voice raises to a shout. Cursed lands, cursed baron, it's all your fault. Virgin died because of you. We're all going to die because of you. I cannot imagine the pain that fills my heart with each life lost. I'm doing everything in my power to save those who can still be saved. Please forgive me, for I cannot protect everyone. What do I care for your apologies? Vedran is not coming back. I will not be able to protect you if you leave for Galt. Turn back, and inside the capital you will find protection from the beasts. You will at least save those who can still be saved. The wrath on Urkid's face gives way to disbelief. Is that so? You want to sweep us away from your neighbor's sight? He wipes away tears. 'Tis all the same. No matter where we breathe our last, be it away from home or in a foreign land or out in the city streets, let us die in peace. You hear that, lads? We turn back.
I'll go ahead.
Trying to keep people in the barony rather than fleeing. Alright, we have to level up, so let me quick save and I will BRB and do some leveling up. And we're back. Alright, so might as well level up while we have the chance. Let's see. Another one of Arcane Trickster. She gets an extra sneak attack damage, which is nice. Alright, she gets a level 4 spell. 2 of them. Touch of Slime within touch range. We don't want to get her in touch range. Dimension Door. Instantly transfer yourself from your current location to any other spot within range. She can take the form of a small elemental. Or beast shape. Become a medium leopard. Looking at conjuration because she has a focus in conjuration. Summon Monster 3, which we usually don't use. Volcanic Storm. Chunks of hot volcanic rock and clumps of ash pound down when the spell's cast, dealing 3d6 points of bludgeoning damage, 2d6 points of fire to every creature in the area. Damage only occurs once. For the remaining duration of the spell, heavy ash rains down in the area. Creatures inside take a -4 penalty on perception checks. The entire area is treated as difficult terrain. I guess giving her a controlled fireball. Functions as fireball, except you can control the damage to your allies, deals minimal damage to them. And +2 bonus to strength, -1 on attack and AC. Deal more damage. Well, I'm interested in seeing what Elemental Body can do. So what am I going to do?
Here.
I just want to see the effects of it in action. So we're going to rest here. I'm not going to save.
Amiri eat like Cronkshaft.
I'm hungry. What's a cronk shaft?
So I'm going to reload the save. It's a cronk shaft. Alright, Elemental Body. Let's take +4 to armor bonus, +1 to your attack damage. You gain 1 slam attack, resist acid. An air elemental can transform itself into a whirlwind and back again. The whirlwind is 15 feet wide. Every creature that spins around the whirlwind must succeed at a reflex save or take 1d4 bludgeoning. Fire. It can burn. Fire elemental deals 1d4 fire damage in addition to damage dealt on a successful hit in melee. Water elemental deals 1d4 cold damage in addition to damage on a successful hit. Didn't succeed on a reflex save or start freezing. Let's see what happens here. Alright, so what are her abilities now? Turn back. Charge, knock, knock. I don't think that's a spell we're really going to want to use. Let's try this again. Controlled fireball and it doesn't end if the subject attacks. How about enlarge person mass, maybe? I think that's pretty good. Create a phantasmal image of the most fearsome creature manageable to the subject simply by forming the fears of the subject's subconscious mind into something that its conscious mind can visualize. This most horrible beast. Only the spell subject can see the phantasmal killer. You see only a vague shape. The target first gets a will save to recognize the image is unreal. If that save fails, the phantasm touches the subject and the subject must succeed at a fortitude save or die from fear. Even if the fortitude save is successful, the subject takes 3d6 points of damage. I think that's pretty cool. So we'll go with that. Alright. Knock knock. 10th level rogue. Gets a rogue talent and advanced talents. Let's see. Opportunist. Character can make an attack of opportunity against opponent who has just been struck for damage in melee by another character. This attack counts as an attack of opportunity for that round. Can't be used more than once per round. That's pretty good. Double debilitation. Whenever the character inflicts a penalty against a target using debilitating injury class feature, they can select 2 penalties to inflict. When a character with this talent hits a creature with a melee weapon and deals sneak attack damage, the target cannot make attack of opportunity. Alright, so I think I'll go with Opportunist. Good. Harem. Inquisitor gets a teamwork feat. Let's see how this is going to work out. has a favorite enemy. Harem would not like undead very much. Let's give him inflict moderate wounds. No, she has enough of that. Invisibility. Oh, he only gets one spell. Let's go back and see what happens if we make him a cleric for this level. So I don't want Marty falling behind in levels, so let's go with Inquisitor. Undead. At 5th level, an Inquisitor can view weapons with the Bane weapon ability. That's cool. +2 weapon attack and damage rolls against them, against undead. Give him the invisibility spell. Boom. Now Mary. Let's see. Barbarian gets danger sense. +1 reflex to avoid traps. Really too exciting. Should get a bonus combat feat here as a fighter. Gets a rage power and damage reduction. So let's see what two-handed fighter would give her. A combat feat. Give her a focus on the glaive, which would be very nice. Shotsuka's strong grip, +1 bonus to combat maneuver, defense on sunder attempts and disarm attempts. Overhand chop at 3rd level. When a two-handed fighter makes a single attack with the attack action or a charge with a two-handed weapon, he adds double his strength bonus on damage rolls. So that's pretty awesome, and I think that's better than a rage power. So we're gonna go fighter, two-handed fighter. Weapon focus on the glaive. Boom. Let's check this out now. +19, 13 to 27. She is beasting. Alright, now Valerie, another stalwart defender. Get uncanny dodge. React to danger before her senses would normally allow her to do so. She cannot be caught flat-footed or lose her dex bonus to AC, which she doesn't really get much of anyway. defensive powers. She'll get another defensive power. And at 4th level, she'll get a +2 to AC, or we can go fighter and get a bonus combat feat. Let's see what her bonus combat feat would be. Greater weapon focus of the heavy mace. Weapon specialization. Gain a +2 on all damage rolls using the selected weapon. Oh man, I don't know which way to go. +1 on attack rolls. Greater shield focus. Bonus stacks with the shield focus, so increases the AC by 1. Many good things to choose from. Let's give her greater shield focus. Let's see what her character looks like. +17, 8 to 18. Excellent. Now for a serious Dragon Disciple. The magic of a spellcasting class at their disposal, Dragon Disciples can assume the typical role of a magic user, hampering the movement of the enemy and hurling damage-dealing spells at their opponents. Dragon Disciples' draconic abilities, however, make these versatile spellcasters even more formidable, as they use their breath weapons and flight to destroy their foes directly. Let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens. The epitome of virtue. Silvers are the most courageous, holding themselves to a chivalrous code to help the weak defeat evil and behave immoderate. Although most considered to be the weakest and most feral of the chromatic dragons, the white dragons make up for its lack of cunning with sheer ferocity. While an ancient force of the world prowling under towering canopies in search of prey, green dragons are perhaps the easiest to deal with diplomatically. Spend most of their time in combat trying to annoy and frustrate their enemies, allied with travelers and venture if the cause and reward is right and just. Consummate conversationalists, brass dragons prefer to talk instead of fight. Let's try that. I just want to see what happens. Grow claws. Two claw attacks as a full attack using your full attack base bonus. Huh. Or wow, Archaeologist has a lot of perks going for it here. Bard talent, evasion, confident explorer, can always take 10 on trickery checks. Let's see what happens here. don't know, I want to kind of try Dragon Disciple, but is that going to mess up my build? Natural armor increase. The blood of dragons. Black, lording over the darkest swamp and marshes, black dragons are the undisputed masters of the domain, ruling through cruelty. No. Blue dragons are consummate schemers and obsessively orderly. So I'm going to be a draconic. Blind fight, great fortitude, improved initiative, power attack, quicken spell, skill focus, mobility, knowledge, arcana, toughness. Brass dragons prefer to talk instead of fight. Dragon bite, it's a bite attack. Arcane spell casting. Gains a new spell per day, as if he had also gained a level in arcane spellcasting class he belonged to. Ability boost strength +2. Wow. Whenever you cast a spell with fire damage, deals 1 point of damage per die rolled. Breath weapons, strength +2, yeah, we'll go with talk instead of fight. Wow. Wings. Let's do it, man. He's
Our duty calls.
a dragon. Asimar. Something different. Man, I wish the level cap wasn't 20. I wish you could go to like 30. This already huge game was even huger. Huger! Alright, let's get back to Matthias Dale. Figure out what the heck we're gonna do here. It's been a pretty long episode, so I might start a new one. throne room is full of people. Your allies stand around the throne waiting in silence as you approach. The atmosphere is tense. Today you'll be discussing the strange and deadly blight that's recently struck your barony. Knock knock. The gloomy silence is only penetrated by loud chewing. Knock knock has grabbed a whole fried chicken from the table and is busily devouring it, ignoring everyone else completely. Jod folds his hands on his chest. Well, now that we're all here, let's sum up what we know. We spent a lot of time and effort to learn what we can about where the monsters come from and what's causing this strange disease. I hope this conversation can help shed some light on the situation. Keston shakes his head slowly. We need to hurry. If we don't find the source of this blight and eliminate it, we may end up with a rebellion on our hands. Let's summarize what we found up to this point. Jod, Keston, and Tristan look at you closely. Jod, the surgery showed that it was magic seeds causing the disease, correct? Right. Judging from the location in the patient's body, these seeds were ingested. Seems likely they're initially extremely small, almost invisible, and people simply swallow them with their food. Once the seed is in the stomach, it begins to grow and cause the symptoms we've seen in our patients. As soon as the seed gains enough strength, it sprouts and turns into a magic portal, just like a bud turning into a flower. Arrest will forgive me. Jod stares into the distance a moment. Something must have possessed me to say that. It really does look like blooming. Each seed tears the body of its victim, just as a flower tears its bud. Keston, we discovered that the Lamashtu cultists weren't involved with the monster infestation. Keston nods. Doesn't mean they're innocent of other crimes, but the monster invasion is not their work. Hearing the name Lamashtu draws Knock Knock's attention. Mother is not to blame here. Told you, but who listens to me? Goblins obviously like having all these monsters around. To them, it's like a sign of Lamashtu's benevolence. Keston grunts. I'd say they're just excited by anything new that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if they're linked to this story somehow. But I doubt the seeds were created by goblin shamans. Besides, a plan like this seems a little beyond the local goblin chief's intelligence. Knock Knock raises his head. Know what I think? I think Goblin King is rotten lice scratcher. Shaman plays him like reed pipe, babbles about Lamashtu, then plots behind his back. Can you tell me where these monsters come from, Tristan? The ones that appear because of this bloom? Tristan raises his eyes from the papers on the table. Undoubtedly from some world alien to our own. All the monsters appearing from the bloom are exceptionally large and strong. It would be rare to encounter such specimens in the Stolen Lands, or even on most of Galarian, but it's impossible to say what it is that lies on the other side of the portals that's intent on killing your people. That's all I need to know about the results of the research. Keston and Jod exchange glances. Tristan continues to dig through his papers. Can we keep the people calm, persuade them to wait a bit longer? Keston frowns. Your Grace, it's hard to expect loyalty and obedience from people in times like this. They're looking for something, or someone to blame. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but... Jod cuts Keston off with a gesture. People think you're cursed, Your Grace, and it would be in your own best interest to quickly discover the cause of that disaster that keeps claiming the lives of your subjects. Jod, how did you come about these rumors of a curse? Jod bows his head. Each day I see dozens of infected, Your Grace. Many people have lost their loved ones or fear they soon will. They all want to know what's going on, who deserves the blame, whose sins brought this blight upon them. Trust me, every day the number of people willing to pin the blame on you grows. They say you and your barony are cursed. Of course, I don't believe a word of it. This isn't a curse, but some disease, which has somehow manifested itself in your barony. Jod raises his eyes to meet yours. Trust me, I won't leave you until I find the source of this disease, regardless of what these poor people may say in their delirium. Keston, are you still with the militia? The guard hesitates, furrowing his brow. Your Grace, I understand these people very well. They're tired of just waiting and hoping, but for now I can guide their eagerness for action in a positive direction. I'm glad to help them avoid hasty decisions that could cause more trouble. At the same time, I'm convinced that a crowd of terrified villagers who've armed themselves can't truly be our salvation. This barony has a chance only so long as it has authorities and laws. My top priority is helping you remain that authority and that law. Keston takes a deep breath after the unusually long speech. I just wanted to assure you that I'm on your side. So, the bloom's essential properties are strange seeds getting into people's bodies which causes their disease and eventually creates magic portals. Now we just need to discover where the seeds are coming from. Tristan, who's been examining the map on the table from the shadows, gives a small cough. If I may, I've noticed an interesting detail. Well, 2 details to be precise. First, the seeds afflict most of the villagers. There have been no recorded cases of disease within the city limits, except for those who came here looking for the cure. Jihad nods. That's right. Thus we can assume a common factor in how people are exposed to these seeds. Many villages get their food from the same territory. Tristan slowly shakes his head. I don't think food is the problem. Take a look. He points at the map. We have the most cases of the disease here, here, and over here. Monsters mostly attack here and here. The cleric's finger travels down the map, tapping points along a fluid line. You see, the situation is most dire along the banks of the Gudrun River. Everyone examines the map closely. Arrest will have mercy, Jihad exhales slowly. Exactly, along the river. That must be where the seeds come from their drinking water. Keston, the militia most often find monsters by the river, right? We used to think the monsters were just coming to the river to drink. Keston rubs his forehead. But if what the cleric says is right... There are dozens of villages along the riverbanks, hundreds of people. How many are likely already infected? Jihad looks at you closely. Are you suggesting we wait for them all to succumb to this bloom, Baron? Let's pray we can deal with the situation before that happens. We have to go upstream and find the source of this blight. Knock Knock jumps at your words. Take me! The goblin bares his sharp, crooked teeth. I want to settle the score with the king. Keston straightens up and flexes his shoulders. If you allow me, Baron, I'd like to take the lead on this. I'll take the best members of the militia with me and sweep the woods along the river. We'll look under each and every rock if needed. Keston muffles a cough. After everything they've been through, these people deserve a chance to discover the source of their misfortunes. You have my permission, Keston. I won't deprive people of the opportunity to find the cause of their troubles. Sweep the woods along the river. I thank you, my Baron. I hope you'll join us soon. Keston gives a short bow, turns around and leaves. Jihad, how are the patients in the prison doing? The cleric smiles, satisfied. After finding the source of the disease, we've been working to remove the seeds from people day and night. We've saved so many. Jihad's face falls. But for each patient we cure, we receive 2 newly infected. Tristan, how did you find the link between the disease and the river? The cleric glances pensively at the map. You see, Baron, these seeds are not the only sign of something abnormal at work. Remember the ruins where we first met? The glade near those ruins, full of huge flowers? Glades such as that tend to appear all over the Stolen Lands. Seems strange, does it not? Especially if we take into account that the magic seeds and the portals they create look like flowers themselves. Jihad even called this disaster the Bloom. I'd like to research this natural phenomenon, and perhaps... Tristan stops talking as loud. Hasty steps are heard from the main entrance. Keston runs into the room. Your Grace, we have trouble. The peasants are rioting. Oh, that's the only solution these nitwits could come up with? Don't worry, Baron. As long as they're not setting fire to the streets, we still have a chance of coming to a peaceful resolution. If you allow me, I'll go speak with them, do my best to calm the crowd down. And if peace doesn't prevail, your guards and I will stand with you. Let's go. I can hear their shouting even from here. I wanted to ask Knock Knock about his brethren. Uh-oh. The murmuring crowd takes almost the entire square. The murmuring turns to shouts at your arrival, and a stone flies out of the crowd and strikes the cobbles at your feet. There he is! Out at last! Damn his eyes! Please hear me out before you lynch me. I know you're tired and disgruntled. I am too. Day after day I and my companions seek a solution to your misfortunes. We've saved so many from this fatal disease, and if the gods have mercy, we can save even more. So please, let us do what we can. Return to your homes, to your loved ones. They need you, just as I need your patience and good faith. The crowd before you sways and mumbles. Peoples look at one another, talk in a hushed tone, shake their heads and frown. It seems rebels who were screaming and jeering a minute ago lost all their confidence. Finally, one of the peasants opens his mouth. The Baron is right. You really believe this? It's pure nonsense. Don't you get it? We could run the Baron through, but it wouldn't change a thing. He's of more use alive than dead. So be it, Baron. We'll let you pass. But don't forget, we're trusting you with our lives. Find the source. Save our children from this terrible sickness. Alright, so, with that said, this was episode 44, I believe. We'll call it an episode here. In the next one, we will explore the Gudrun River to the east of the capital, where the vicious seeds came from. Cass and his militia have already gone ahead. We have to catch up with them and join the search. We'll do that next time on the J. Dumont channel. Let's give some stuff to the storyteller here before we go. I've already seen all of these. Alright, so thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying this Let's Play. If you are, please leave me a comment, let me know. Press the like button so I know you're watching. And I'll see you in the next episode, everybody, where adventure is sure to ensue. So, see you then. Peace out.